Hi everybody, welcome back to Vogelzang Live. We are looking into our first Friday in April. It's looking like a beautiful weekend and I can't wait. So I hope that you've been having a good week. We've got a lot of things coming up and a lot of things that we just completed. Our outreach person, Mirella Stefanescu, is going to the ADAO, the Asbestos Disease Awareness Organization, and she'll be marching on Capitol Hill. And she'll have a great banner that shows a lot of our past clients and what they went through. And basically we're trying to bring awareness to the legislators out in Washington and make sure that they realize that asbestos is still allowed in the United States and that it should be outright banned like many other countries. So that's in following up to what we did a couple weeks ago where Mirella attended the MARF conference, Mesothelioma Applied Research Foundation, and had a great time meeting with a lot of people still living with mesothelioma, with treaters, doctors and nurses that are taking care of those, and then of course the family members of the survivors and those that have lost loved ones to mesothelioma. In other news, we're going to the Gilda's festival, not festival, but it's an outing at Second City this Wednesday where they're raising money to help families with cancer. So it's not necessarily research, but they have a lot of different activities and things that can help families that are dealing with a loved one that is going through this difficult process. So that'll be great. And today we're talking about the origin of Vogelzang law and really how I got into this business. And so it actually goes back quite a few years. Into 1999, I graduated law school. And at that time, I was growing up in Western Springs, a suburb of Chicago. And my father was working at University of Chicago. He had come there from Minnesota and was the new kid on the block, and they did not know what to do with mesothelioma patients. Of course they knew what to do with them, but there wasn't a treatment option available is what I mean by that. So they gave them to my dad, and he was seeing them all from a lot of the steel mills on the south side and other places, of course. And with a big cohort of patients, you're able to talk to the drug companies and say, hey, why don't we put something together, see if it'll work. And so he continued to experiment and do experiments are really clinical trials when it comes to cancer patients, and try to extend their life, because unfortunately a person diagnosed with mesothelioma oftentimes has less than a year to live. So they are willing, and the families are willing, to do anything it takes to try to stop the cancer. So this was about the time I had been out of law school a couple of years, and he wanted to make sure that some of his patients got good legal representation and started recommending that I work in the asbestos business and represent plaintiffs. So I was fortunate enough to get to work, I wouldn't say together with my father, but I got to join the family business in a way and got to help families that were affected by mesothelioma on the legal side rather than the medical side. And once that happened, I never really looked back. And today, I once in a while, my father's now moved out to Nevada and sees a lot of genitourinary cancers, which is bladder, kidney, prostate cancers, and still will see the occasional mesothelioma, and once in a while I'm lucky enough to represent one of his patients. But the real key there was that he showed me what a patient goes through. I mean, if you want to go all the way back, on Saturdays, he used to take me on rounds. My brothers and I would sit on a rolling cart, and he would roll us in and show that we'd see the patients, and it was rough at first, I remember, because you're going into a cancer patient's room where he maybe has gone through chemo or surgery, but the rooms that he would allow us into, because some rooms we weren't allowed to go into, it would really lift up the spirits of the patient. And I think that sunk in deeply as a child, seeing what my father did and what patients go through. So it was a real honor when I got to get into that business as a lawyer and continue my father's legacy. So that was back in 2001, I think, when I really started taking care of asbestos patients. And since then, it's been all I do. So I love it. It's great. And I hope that my experiences and my thoughts and everything that I've done carries through into all the people that work at Vogelzang Law now. And I think it does. I think it's been a really cool culture to watch develop, and I hope that it continues to develop in such a great way. So hopefully that gives you a nice feel of where we came from and how we got here and where we're going. And I hope that's a good start to your weekend. So enjoy yourselves out there, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks a lot.